This podcast contains descriptions of extreme violence, body horror, and adult language. Please check the description for details. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Heart of Hope, but things are going to be a little different this time around. We do not have our wonderful normal player Iris with us today playing Vex. Instead, we have a returning guest star who will be our sole player today, which is Fleecie. Feel free to introduce yourself once again.
Ooh, a guest star even. Yes, hello, I'm Fleecie. I am your neighborhood-friendly creature that lives in your rafters. I don't know. I'm nervous, but a good nervous.
It's all good. And just remind everyone of your pronouns again, why not?
Yes, my pronouns are they, she. Thank you very much.
Right, yeah, no, and so we will be following, rather than Vex today, we will be following Nixe. So let me get you placed in both time and space real quick.
Oh. So
it has been some time since you last were on the show in game. Mm-hmm. When we last saw you, you had just left Vex in Stitches after that very strange and horrifying situation where she grew the horrible veins out of her head and drained all of the blood and crawled into the morgue. You visited for a few days afterwards in order to check in on her, but there was no sign of any kind of stirring, and you had a job to do, unfortunately, which was namely that you have been acting as a sort of infiltrator slash your normal kind of info broker of, like, you know, sensitive information for the Foundling Creed. And as a result of that, there was a massive push in from the Foundling Creed into Section C territory. During that week, there was also the tower, the Grow Tower, that was taken over by They of Clay, which was concerning, to say the least. Mm-hmm. But you have since heard that it was taken care of by the Iron Ashura, Hyde, and most encouragingly, you heard that Vex was responsible for helping with that as well, meaning that she has indeed somehow recovered from having no head, and is back and active in the city. Unfortunately, you've not had a moment to go and see her yourself. Once again, because of the aforementioned situation between Foundling Creed and Section C, where there was a massive pushback from Section C, taking back the territory that Foundling Creed took, and more. It has been a bloodbath, and you have been simultaneously been making quite good money, but also been in quite a dangerous situation as a result. For context, we are basically at the start of week 3 here with you. Mm-hmm. And there has been finally a moment for you to kind of breathe a little, as there hasn't been a direct piece of information that anyone has hired you to go and find as of yet. So you've managed to pull away a little bit from the borders and get a little time to investigate. The main thing, which you may very well have been one of the first people to catch wind of in the city as a whole, which is that people are supposedly turning up without their hearts in their chests. We join Nixe stood over a corpse. And this is probably the first one that you've managed to find yourself. Everything till now had just been rumors, but you have had the drive, the will to find something more concrete that you could look at yourself and get a better understanding of, and you have found it. It has been quite close to where some of the conflict has been happening on the border. It's a little ways away from where the direct gang war stuff is happening, but it's close enough that it's one of those things of, like, if someone were not aware of what this was directly related to, then they might just chalk it up as a dead body that's shown up as a result of the fighting, right? And yeah, you have finally located this body with yourself, and you have an opportunity to actually investigate it. So why don't you tell me, first and foremost, what has been going through your mind with all of these events going on in the city lately, and what has been your what has been kind of going on in Nixe's life in the last week or more?
In the last week or so, Nixe has been, busy. And with the business that comes of jumping back and forth between information points 24/7 in a violent conflict, is that you kind of turn most of your brain off and you just get into working mode. You don't take, like, time to rest or enjoy anything, sniff the metaphorical flowers. So she's been in work mode for quite a while. And she's been looking for something like, slower, more calm. So she's very happy with this lull in the conflict, or, well, not lull in the conflict. I'm pretty sure that it's still raging on. But a lull in her work schedule, at least. And so, at first, when she heard about people turning up dead, she was just saying, like, well, alright, yeah, of course people are dead around here. But specifically, when the rumors specified that they've been missing their hearts, and that's a detail that keeps popping up, Nixe is really interested and really wants to investigate this corpse that she's found now, because she has a lot of thoughts of what this could be, but she really needs to investigate properly to see if any of her hopes and dreams of what this could be for her vacation. So she's just, popping a squat right next to this person, and she's like, alright, let's see what you can tell me then, buddy. And she's gonna start investigating, I think.
Alright. Why don't you give me a D10 roll with a +1, please?
Oh.
Okay, so you take a look, and there is something which immediately is clear without even having to do any kind of sleuthing or whatever. And this is a detail which has clearly been left out by anyone who's been talking about this, which makes it immediately a good thing that you have found this yourself. To have someone's heart removed is one thing, and maybe you were envisioning a number of things, whether it be that their chest has been opened, or that there is just this massive, messy puncture wound, or, like, there's a whole host of ways that it could be done, right? But the thing which is so interesting and strange about this is that it's like a perfectly circular hole in their chest. It is like somebody has taken, like, a circular hole punch and just dug into their chest and, like, removed the heart and, like, anything surrounding it. You in fact, you do see nearby that there is some discarded tissue and muscle, which, upon further inspection, you realize is now, like, essentially the portions of the ribs that were part of that, like, almost cookie-cutter, like, extraction, as well as, like, some lung tissue and anything which was basically in the way of the heart. It's very clear that it was, like, something was, like, attached to the chest, dug in, pulled out this, like, small pillar of viscera, and then they essentially, like, wiped off what they didn't need, and the heart is now gone and missing. It is surgical levels of, like, sharp instrument that you are seeing here with this wound. The immediate instinct would be, this is Section C. Because, like, that level of, like, precision, that level of, like, you know, almost medical looking, like, extraction would scream Section C. And yet, you have been hearing that people in Section C have been turning up like this as well. This is a Foundling Creed member that you are currently craned over.
Just, I assume I don't need to necessarily investigate this, but looking around, like, and perhaps using the previous rumors of the other bodies as a reference, in what places have they been found? In side streets, kind of hidden away, out in the open? What are we talking about?
It is, whenever somebody has found one of these corpses, like, in the open, per se, it has not been, like, oh, there was a crowd of people or something like that. It's more like, oh, yeah, they were in the middle of this gangway that most people use to get to and from X location and Y location, but at the time, no one was there, or it was night, or there was, they've been found in all sorts of places, but never the most populated. It's always in places that are either quiet or hidden. You suspect that the ones that are, you suspect that there's probably more bodies than you would think, considering that, like, there is a lot of places that you can corner people that no one would ever find, right? And so you suspect that the ones that have been found are just the ones which people have actually been liable to run into.
Looking at this person, do they look, you did say that they were Foundling Creed, but do they look like decked out for combat?
They don't look like they are a higher up by any means. You can tell from the tattoos. Normally the higher ranked Foundling Creed will either have a lot of tattoos or will have very specific tattoos. There is a particular, like, type of tattoo which will have, like, a skull with various adornments that are added on depending on how important they are. You can tell immediately that this is someone who was not necessarily a grunt or, like, a initiate of any kind. They were definitely a combatant, though. You can see that they have, like, what looks like a melee weapon and, like, a set of pistols. Nothing crazy, but definitely someone who would be able to hold their own if they were in a fight. Which, furthermore, like, you see that in one of his hands is one of his pistols. Seemingly he had seen what was coming and tried to defend himself. You can see that there's a couple of bullet casings on the floor as well, so they clearly did fire their gun. You imagine nobody came to their help, to their rescue, on account of the fact that there is a gang war happening nearby, so no one was keen to investigate gunfire, you know?
Yeah, no, it would be lost in the sounds of other fighting anyway, so distant gunfire wouldn't even... Like, on a regular day, distant gunfire in a gang territory wouldn't necessarily be that noticeable. Alright. So,
what else would you like to check?
I would like to see if they have any sort of identification on them. Like, a wallet or some kind.
This is a bit of a long shot on your part on account of the fact that, like, you know, Hope's Rise doesn't have, like, a governing body that issues identification by any means.
No, okay, perhaps I should have phrased that better. Anything, like, I am also including, like, if they had, like, a letter on them from someone to someone, like, anything that could give me something. It doesn't have to be a driver's license or anything like that, just something that gives me an idea of what kind of person this is.
Yeah, you take a look over them. Foundling Creed are one of the few that will have some kind of a not identification as such, but there will be more information on them than you would expect of something like the Collectors. You don't find a letter or, like, an idea or anything, but what you do find is that this particular Foundling Creed member is wearing a bracelet, which it's not like all of them do this, but some of them will, where on the bracelet is, like, this metal plate that has some writing engraved on it, and it says The Stuck Pig, which you know off the top of your head immediately, that's a restaurant. You suspect that that is the place that he is intended to be served if found by his allies. So it's probably a thing of, like, it's like the most fucked up version of
a dog tag.
You know, that of a dog tag or a home address of, like, hey, here's the kitchen to send me to, they'll know what to do with me, you know? And you see that the name on it is just Ian, very simply.
Ian, And the stuck pig. She kind of, like, stands up, stretches a little. She knows better to remove a bracelet like that. The Foundling Creed would not really enjoy that, considering their customs. And respecting they're dead, so that, considering they paid her a lot, and she doesn't want to get in their bad graces now. Well, that is something. I think I'm gonna take one more look around, because I'm gonna, like, what's the ground type like here? Can I see any, like, footprints or stuff like that?
Make me a roll with a -1, please.
Oh?
Oh, that is a success. Okay, so you take a look around to see if you can see any footsteps, and there are none, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing, like, here's the thing, right? This guy is bleeding a lot, obviously, right? Like, he had his artery, like, all of his most vital arteries were cut in the process of this, right? Even you yourself have been, like, kind of having to make a point of finding a good place to stand over him because there is such a huge and expansive pool of blood around him. Which is why it's fucking strange that there is no footsteps or bloody anything around, right? There is, like, a spatter of blood on the walls, and you take this, like, little circular, like, kind of walk around him a little bit as you're looking, and then you realize, oh, that patch of ground over there, that looks like it's recently been not washed, but wiped up. The grime of the city giving you that extra little bit of, like, help here, where it is by virtue of the fact that the concrete in that location is a little brighter that you're able to tell that it was cleaned recently, right? And it is going down into a direction of, like, one of these hallways. You suspect that it will be difficult to follow them, but you have a heading.
She, like, sort of crosses her arms and, like, taps her foot. Why? Okay, so you're willing to clean up after yourself in a territory of war, where no one really would care that much, Because we're killing each other back and forth anyway, so why do you care about cleaning up? And she's gonna... one last look at the, like, Foundling Creed member. Just to, like... a quick cursory glance to be like, did I miss something? Or did I remember all the details right? And then I think that she will at least give it a try to follow the cleaned trail to see if she can find something.
I'm gonna make a secret roll real quick.
Oh, that's... oh, I don't like that.
Could you roll me a d10, please, with a plus... no, just roll me a d10.
Oh! A 10! Alright.
You are just about to make your way when you catch in the corner of your eye what to most people would read as just, like, fucked up concrete rebar that's sticking out from one of the balconies nearby. I should mention, this area is not one of the hallways. It is like a slightly more open area where there is a brief reprieve in the claustrophobia here, where there is a balcony above you where, like, a different path has essentially, like, run overhead and used some of the, used a catwalk to, like, continue its path here. You actually imagine that is why this place was chosen to ambush him, is because you could, like, have somebody waiting above them, right? And in that same vein, you see this rebar kind of poking out from the balcony, and you're like, hold on. And you turn your head over, and you take a look, and sure enough, that is not rebar, that is the camouflaged sniper rifle barrel of someone that you happen to know.
Oh. As soon as she notices that camouflage, she grins. Oh, now I'm even more curious. Is there any way for her to, like, suddenly, like, get up there or closer?
If there was, it would be pointless, because it's very clear that she has a bead on you and is watching you.
Oh, how boring.
It's really a matter of whether you want to reveal that you've seen her.
I think that, you know, that thing where you, like, stand up on the, like, front of your feet and then down on your heels again and then up to, like, warm up her legs in case something will turn out, and then she'll just turn towards her old friend and just wave at her. Like, hey, I see you.
You wave, and sure enough, there is a beat, and the rebar subtly moves and shifts as you see them stand up from what was a pile of just discarded trash and, like, cardboard and stuff like that. And you see that they are wearing their, like, you know, I say urban camouflage. It's not in the same sense as what you might expect in the real world, so much as it is, like, they have got this armor which is made out of, like, scrap piping and metal and stuff that would allow them to, you know, blend into the shithole which is Hope's Rise, which they have been doing. And as they stand up, you see Delilah. She is someone that you've known for what must be most of your life. She is somewhat tall. She's like 5'9", 5'10". She is quite a wide-set woman, decently built. The kind of person where, like, if they were to be a bouncer, you'd think that they'd be perfect for it, because she is just, like, so built in that way. And also, as has been the case since you've known her, since she was a kid, just, like, fully butch. If you didn't know that, you know, if you didn't know her already, it's the kind of presentation where you would mistake her someone might mistake her as a man. And she likes it that way. She keeps her hair cropped. She's like, always in properly, like, proper combat gear and everything, and does not make a point of accentuating any part of her that is not distinctly for kicking your ass, And she kind of stands up. She's got, dirt matted through her hair and on her face, and looks down to you and, like, leans over the railing that she was previously peeking through, and hefts her sniper rifle, still aiming at you lazily, not, like, tense. And she just goes, hey, do you, want to explain what the fuck this is?
Oh, I thought that maybe you could. Have you been hanging out in this area? Like, did you see perhaps what happened to him?
She starts to like make her way down the catwalk a little bit as she goes like, no, I didn't see what happened. I've been preoccupied with, well, she kind of looks off into the distance for a brief moment. She goes, everything that's been happening lately here. But I've been running a little bit of... It was my turn to check what bodies we needed to take back today. She finds her way to a stairwell, like a like a fire escape stairwell almost, like, metal grated. And she doesn't make her way down it yet. Instead, she kind of, like, looks to you somewhat suspiciously, and just goes, question is, why are you here?
Her grin someone's widens even more, and her new fancy sharp teeth glistens. Oh, I've been hearing things. And I needed to check it out myself, because this is fresh.
She finally slings the sniper rifle over her shoulder and like makes her way down with heavy footsteps down the stairs, and eventually kind of walks towards you, keeping a good distance, and just goes, maybe you should stop hearing things as often. One of these days it's gonna get you killed, Nixe.
Oh, we'll all die someday, don't worry about it. She stretches casually.
She frowns at you. There is still that unfortunate tension between the two of you. The fact that you are a dredge, and you know that she is Foundling Creed. That has always been a point of friction between the two of you ever since it happened. And she kind of looks down at the guy, at Ian, and just goes, damn it. And she kind of like squats over him a little bit and just goes, this doesn't look... I mean, this is something Section C would do, but is this one of the heart extractions?
It really looks like it. And Section C is an obvious one, but I don't know. It kinda smells like a red herring. Whatever a herring is. You know?
You've got to stop. No, you're never gonna stop with any of this crap. Why do I even bother? She goes to, she just, like, grabs him around the waist and, like, fireman lifts him with no effort onto her shoulder, somewhat unbothered by the blood which now, starts to kind of drip down her back and is on her arm. And she stands up and just goes, you can pretend that this is some other secret thing as much as you like, but it's Section C as far as I can tell. So what does it matter?
Oh, The devil's in the details, Delulu. And I need to know him. You know that.
There is this look that crosses her face this time, which is one of, like, there's a little concern in it, but it quickly is replaced by, like, frustration. As she just goes, "Look, it's been a while, but I've been hearing a lot of shit around the city lately. Are you okay?"
For a moment, Nixe thinks back to a while ago with Vex, and just even though she has been busy, sometimes in the few moments of downtime where maybe right before she takes a quick power nap in between delivering info, she has been thinking about how something feels like it has changed recently. Because usually Nixe likes to busy herself with work, to not think as much. But she has been thinking more recently. Maybe because Vex reminded her of someone else. Not Delilah, but someone else. And I think Delilah can tell that Nixe, for a moment, which is a little unlike her, just clearly thinking about something. She begins, am just being myself, as usual.
She like scoffs a little and just goes, yeah, always the same fucking thing with you. I was hoping that maybe, just for a second, that we could have some level of, like, fucking genuine connection there for a second. I was actually giving a fuck. Ugh, fine, whatever. Go investigate your stupid shit. Get yourself fucking killed, for all I care.
Nix's smile falls for a moment. Can I ask you something?
What?
Never mind.
No, we're not doing this fucking stupid game shit. Just fucking ask the question, Nixe.
Can I ask a quick question here? Out of character.
Sure.
Regarding the family creed. You said that their cannibalism was like a respect sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do they, like, eat part of each other as, like, a bond thing sometimes? Or how does that work?
That's not unheard of. That is a very it's not a common thing, and it is very much treated as like a that is a ritual that is a pretty big deal, and people don't make a point of doing that with no reason. But the primary way in which the cannibalism is practiced is that if someone you feel was a worthy opponent dies, then you take part of them back to eat them, or if an ally dies, then you take them home and you have a celebratory feast to celebrate their life and to keep them living on within yourself by eating them. It's a big deal to them. Eating a part of each other while they're alive, that is something which is on another level of, like, importance above that.
Mm-hmm. It's sort of like I'm trying to find like a blood brother thing, almost like you and I are connected forever. Like I'm basically asking, would you, for example, like, give each other a body part of each other and eat to be like, we have a bond now, like, say a finger or something?
That might be something that some people do, yeah, to signify their bond. But that is That even beyond like a marriage or something like that, it's a thing of like, oh, we are forever together.
Yeah, exactly. It's beyond anything romantic or platonic. It's just like on a almost like a soulmate level in a way, but not the romantic way of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that because that is where I wanted to ask. So to go back, Nixe pauses for a longer moment and then looks straight into Delilah's eyes. If you ever find me dead in a ditch somewhere, do you think anyone would eat my heart?
Why do you care? Never gave a shit about foundling stuff before.
I don't.
She kind of regards you for a moment and just goes, "You'd have to have put up a good fight. Although with the amount of chrome you have in you, I doubt anybody would be keen to eat any of you."
She laughs and gives her a smile that doesn't reach Nix's eyes. That's true. No one would like canned food, would they?
She kind of, like, shrugs her shoulders, jostling Ian's body a little as she does. "If you don't mind, I've got to get him to where he needs to go."
Yeah. People are waiting for him, I get it. And she just, like, casually waves and sort of kind of starts looking like she's gonna move on her own way.
She I think she stops and goes, "You know, it's never too late to join the family."
She looks back at Delilah and giving her a genuine sort of sad smile that Delilah has seen before whenever family is mentioned. You know what my answer is. She's like doing some sort of things with her hands, like she's like trying to shake off, because that human part of her is almost waking up, and she's just like, well, Brimstone would probably kick my ass into the center of the earth if I tried to do anything but work. He's a slave driver, that one.
She sighs a little and just goes, "Right. Well, if you ever decide that it's fine enough to have a family and a good meal to eat, then why do I bother?" And she just kind of, like, turns away and starts to walk and just goes, "Don't get yourself killed, Nixe.
And you better make it back home as well," she mutters, half quietly, almost hoping that Delilah wouldn't hear.
And she's gone. Off to take the body to its destined kitchen, as such.
Like, she's standing there on an empty street like, "Oh, I hate feeling things."
Hello and welcome to the break. I hope that you're doing well and I hope you're enjoying yourself as always. A couple of points of order in case folks have not noticed before we get back to things. First and foremost, if it wasn't seen on the various announcements that I put out, Heart of Hope is now going to be a fortnightly schedule, so it would be 1 week on, 1 week off. Some people call it bi-weekly, I believe, as well. But yeah, it will be from here on out. Next week we will not have an episode, and then the week after we will have an episode. I basically just realized I needed more room to be able to keep up this effort and not, like, burn myself out. So yeah, that will be the case going forward. And also, as part of that as well, I just quickly want to say thank you so much to all of my patrons who have been continuing to support me through this, because it's been a massive help and it's been very encouraging. at the moment, we do not actually have an episode ahead of time, at least not on the time of the release for this episode. I will be working to get the episode up ahead of time, sometime this week preferably, and we will be back on schedule in regards to, having something ahead of time available on the Patreon. But yeah, no, I just really super overworked myself with the monstrous episode that we did last time, and it just made me realize that I needed to basically change how I was approaching this for future. So thank you for continuing to listen one way or another, and I thank you for understanding. Outside of that, if you do want to help to keep this show going, help it keep getting created, and to help other artists, including myself, of course, then you can support me on patreon.com/eternal_savvy. Again, that is eternal_savvy. You can support me for as little as $1 a month there, and, once it's up, there will indeed be an episode ahead of time. That is my intent most of the time. And you can pay more if you want to, if you just want to help out, but you don't have to. Even the $1 will get you the extra episode once it's out. And we also have a couple of extras up there as well, including some just simple assets I've been using for the maps that I do provide for Iris, even though this does not have a visual component. We'll also be uploading the soundtrack there, which is a direct way that you will be making the show better by supporting it. Money that we get here, I use to commission other artists and composers for music for the show, so that we can have, some unique stuff going on. And so it's not just me you're supporting, it is other artists. And if you want to support me in other ways, or just see more of my content, then you can go and watch me over on twitch.tv/eternal_savvy. That is where I stream most weeks. We do video games, we've been doing clown games recently, we do drawing, and we do other TTRPGs, although we have one in the works currently. It's not currently running. And yeah, no, it's a good time there. Go and follow me. And you can also find me on Blue Sky at the same of eternal_savvy. And I also have a VOD channel of staying_savvy. Also, if you want to send in some fan art, the best way to do it is to tag me on Blue Sky with the hashtag Heart of Hope at eternal_savvy, or you can send it on the Discord if you're part of that as well. You will have been seeing that fan art on screen on the YouTube upload version of this episode right now, in fact. And last of all, before we get back to the episode, a special thanks to Dawes for the prompt that created Delilah. We can't thank you enough for continuing to support the show and continuing to watch. I hope you have a good time, and let's get back to the rest of the episode. Bye-bye.
I think I'll follow that trail because I want to get an idea at least of how this wannabe serial killer travels when they've gotten what they want.
All right. You go to follow the trail, or at least the direction where you have been seeing this cleanup happening. And it becomes clear after a moment, as you're going, that the cleanup was not done properly. It was mainly done in haste. It seems that the place where it was most diligently tried to be covered properly was nearest to the corpse. As you continue down this kind of offshoot alleyway, you eventually do see that there is a much clearer pattern to the way that these are being cleaned up, where you notice that it was definitely footsteps that were being taken care of. Mm-hmm. Someone had clearly stepped in the blood at some point. There is a time where you feel a little on edge because there isn't a whole lot of places for you to follow this alleyway while hidden, and eventually you do find the reassuring mess of cables and piping and routed wires and stuff, which tends to so frequently nest itself on the ceilings and walls of various parts of the city as everyone kind of parasitizes each other's electricity and running water and such. And eventually you do find that there is some places to, you know, more comfortably find yourself kind of, you know, huddled away if need be.
Am I, based on, because I'm assuming I have a decent sense of direction, am I moving in direction of towards the conflict of the gang wars or away from it?
Away. Distinctly away. Deeper into Foundling territory. It's as you're going, you eventually reach a point where you kind of break out into a notable section of the city. If you'll see on the map that there is this kind of absence of there's like a little pathway, right? Like,
yeah.
That's not because it's completely open to the sky. In fact, this is an area where there is still a number of buildings that have been built horizontally across these gaps, using bridges and gangways as a basis to you know, keep themselves stable. But all overshadowing a basically like a water runoff area. When this was still a normal city, this would have been, you know, a sluiceway of sorts for, like, you know, when rivers overflow or when, you know, there needs to be some, you know, something dealt with in that regard. And in fact, it's got these, like, harsh, almost 45-degree slopes on either side of concrete. And you end up kind of walking over one of these bridges, but taking, like, the upper side of it, where there is all of, like, the routed wirework and stuff. And you see that there is, once again, a clear indication of movement, as you see that, like, down in where there is, like, the slight burbling of the stream of water at the very bottom of this concrete, like, ditch. You see that there is an area where some footsteps are trailing up the slope. And it's at that moment that you realize that this trail may not be as cold as you thought it might be. Because those footsteps have not evaporated yet.
That realization makes Nixe go very tense. Like an animal on high alert. Because if it's going up a slope, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And considering that it seemed like this killer took their victim off guard by being high up, that's not an ideal situation for Nixe to be in. Looking around, is there any sort of like what does the hiding potential look like for me?
Here, not so good. It's an open area, but it also doesn't look like this is where they have settled or this is where they are, like, planning something or whatever. The area up ahead is leading you into Foundling territory, specifically deeper into a section which is quite close by some of the hive blocks. When it comes to the Creed, they make a point of making, like, these much larger and much more singular buildings, which, you know, realistically speaking, are, like, the size of, like, 4 or 5, you know, apartment blocks stapled together, but all within one building, as, like, these tightly packed, very densely populated areas that they can more easily control, right? Of citizenry and stuff. And in those places, the hiding potential is a lot better. It's a lot, with the amount of people around, there is a lot more of a mess when it comes to the organization of, like, getting power to the right places, getting, you know, the gangways of people walking. it's because it's so concerned with making the hive blocks the main focus, surrounding alleyways are a lot easier to hide in as a result. If you keep going, you have some fair confidence that you'll be able to keep yourself quite well hidden. But that is only if this turns out to be keeping you away from the hive blocks themselves.
So if it turns out the trail goes into the hive blocks, considering the amount of people there, the trail would get muddled regardless.
Yes, absolutely. That will, if it trails into a hive block, it will you can 100% consider the trail cold.
She thinks to herself, and is for a moment brought back to that decision where Vex and Nixe had to make the decision to whether they would just sprint across the no man's land from the manhole to the building with the tree. She thinks to herself, well, the devil is in the details, and I have to get to know him. So I think that Nixe will, very carefully on high alert, scanning around her as she goes, continue to follow this trail. Because even if the trail goes cold in the hive blocks, then at least she will know for certain that they went to the hive blocks and didn't go somewhere else. And just passed by them.
Could you give me a roll, please, and give yourself a +2, one for your skill and one for the fact that this area is easier to hide in.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh.
All right, that's a success. A 6 is a success. That's what you needed.
Oh, okay.
So, you're making your way through you exit from this this concrete ditch and you plunge into the convoluted alleyways of this area of the city. The thing which immediately greets you is the fact that there is a lot more piping and a lot more like pseudo sewers that happen at this elevation, which allow you to, stay hidden and still hear things that are going on. You, as a result, kind of end up in this situation where you are kind of tracking this movement, both by virtue of, these wet footsteps, which manage to direct you to a particular alleyway, but also by virtue of what you realize now is a less populated area to a degree where it might actually be to your benefit to listen in on a few conversations and stuff. And you find yourself kind of lurking around this one area where you hear some voices in the distance, and you kind of shimmy and slide through this particularly claustrophobic pipe before you find yourself in a kind of runoff area, which has a grate, which you see some light kind of pouring through from one of the fluorescent bulbs that is nearby. You hear this rather proper-sounding individual who just goes, "Leon, we need not concern ourselves with such matters. We have other things to be getting to." I don't know, they just seemed off. Did they not just seem off to you? Everyone seems off. Well, no, I suppose not. I did have some degree of, auspicious detection of their strange attire and wisdom. What the fuck are you talking about? and they carry on, and he kind of takes a second and he goes, I don't see what the issue is. I'm using perfectly clear words. You don't use half the words you use properly. Do you even know what half the words you use mean? Indubitably. Okay, that one's right, but that's an exception.
You can't just say perchance.
Yeah. perchance they were simply on a covert mission of strange, indelible, and important, it just continues on like that. As you hear them kind of like trail off into the distance. Clearly, one of them just being a bit of a kind of weirdo in and of himself. But it sounds like that they spotted some strange individuals passing by.
For half a second, Nixe is like, I hope they're not talking about me, because that would make things very complicated, but... So, can I see the, since they keep walking away from me, can I, like, compare their trail from the one I've been following so far, and see if they match?
So it seems like, whatever direction they're headed in is obviously not the same direction that the group, that they mentioned was heading in. And sure enough, there is kind of like two main directions you could have been going towards. There was like a fork in the road coming up. And you can now take advantage of that information and, go down the path that they are not walking down.
So, our local serial killer might be a weirdo. She, like, becomes self-aware for only a second, but then she decides to continue down the path that they're not walking.
You keep on moving. You catch a couple of conversations as you're going of just people who are, like, nearby. There's some apartments which you manage to catch, like, muffled conversations through doors. In time, you find yourself in a area that is the kind of place where you would feel quite confident being able to stop and have, like, a secret conversation, because for all intents and purposes, you kind of see this, it's essentially like a dead end, right? There's no, like, apartments nearby or businesses nearby. This essentially looks like what might have been an old area where, it might have once led through to some other part of the city or another building, but has since been walled off by a new building being erected in the way of this alleyway, right? And as such, it is filthy. There is all sorts of trash that has been thrown around and discarded here, including, like, stuff as large as, like, sofas and furniture and stuff like that. And for good measure as well, you realize that, like, you are actually in a situation where the like sub-sewers and stuff, which tend to run alongside areas like this, do not actually lead you into that alleyway, which you for sure think that somebody has gone down, because there is like these motes of dust and grime that are floating through the air, which very clearly denote that somebody has recently been, like, leapfrogging over various stuff that's in this trash pile. However, you do note that on the ceiling there is this cage that would normally house, like, power cables and stuff like that, which have, as you sense with your, like, electrical generators, you can kind of get a sense of, like, what is actually powered or not. You realize that they are actually safe to be like, crawling alongside of, because they are not at risk of electrocuting you if you were to use them.
How, if I were to climb through the cages of wires, how visible would I be?
You would have to have visual implants in order to catch you, and they would probably have to be looking for you. There is one thing that you have learned when it comes to hiding, which is that there is two places that most people never think to look when it comes to someone hiding. And that is 1, above them, and 2, below them.
And that's why I like the sewers. And you know what? I'm gonna climb up through those cables, because I don't have to worry about those. And I'm gonna see, could I possibly follow this path by climbing through the cage of cables?
Indeed you could.
I think I'm gonna take that chance then.
You hike yourself up onto this, this power cage, essentially, and slide into it. Managing to use the cables and the wires and the grating to, you know, get yourself shimmying through this alleyway, and giving yourself a bird's eye view of what's happening down there whenever you get a sight through this cage. The main issue as you start to go is just the fact that it is so dark, but by virtue of, like, you have those kind of, like, strobe light things in your eyes. It's not that you're, like, lighting up the area, it's more the fact that, like, you have cybernetic eyes, and so you are able to cut through the darkness, at least somewhat, right? Mm-hmm. You've got, like, a higher sensitivity of... You aren't, like, seeing perfectly in the dark, but you are able to see a significant amount more than most people.
I don't have dark vision, but I can see decently. At least enough so that I won't be totally caught off guard.
Yeah. You, after a few minutes, find yourself at what looks like the dead end of this alleyway. And, curiously, there is no one here. Could you make me a roll, please?
Absolutely. A flat one? No additions?
Give me a +1 because you are aware that there is something fishy going on here.
Something fishy? Oh?
That's a success.
Yeah.
You are looking around from above, and it is by virtue of you kind of aware of the fact that there has bin someone passing through here recently. You first of all notice that there is indeed what looks like something that has been freshly knocked over, which you can tell because the like trash in that area stinks more. There's a way that, like, when stuff has been left for a long time, eventually you can't, it like kind of covers itself, it settles. Mm-hmm. There is a harsher stench there. And you look at, like, the various corners of this alley, and you notice that there is this corrugated metal, which is leaned up against one of the corners. And you are instantly, like, you kind of pass over it initially because it looks like it's just part of a big pile of trash before you, like, go, wait a minute. Big piece of, big slab of corrugated metal just, like, conveniently leant up against one of the corners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, you immediately are like, that's where you hide some shit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Is it perhaps this piece of metal perhaps door-sized?
It would, if you were to lift it up, there could definitely be, like, some kind of a door underneath there.
Hey, can I look around to just see, like, is there any sort of security measures around here? Anything from a potential, I don't know how much security cameras happen around here in Hope's Fall, or anything like, you know, a bunch of tin cans hanging from a bunch of ropes, anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, give me a look around, give yourself a +1 to this. Oh, very nice. You don't see any tech around here. If there was anything that was on and powered, you wouldn't be able to be in this cage in the first place, because there would have been, you know, power running through it. You suspect that to some extent, the safety measure may be the fact that anyone who doesn't know how to trudge through this alleyway of trash, properly, would make a ruckus, would just like make a commotion by trying to find their way through. And it also, like, as a note, like, the sheer volume of crap in this alleyway is like enough that like if you don't know the way to get through it, quote unquote, you would just be wading like waist deep through shit. Not literal shit, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You suspect that that is the main thing that would be used as like a warning system per se. The main thing outside of that is that like you will probably have to be careful with lifting that metal, because if that scrapes against something else metallic, it could create a pretty loud sound.
Does it look like a hefty piece or just a thin, wobbly, noisy piece? Like,
yeah, the latter. Thin. It is old enough and thin enough that it would be something which would cause a sound if you were not careful about it.
I think, for a moment at least, Nixe is just gonna wait to see, like, if there's any movement, if there seems like anything like that, like someone might come and go, just to really make sure. And then I think Nixe would probably carefully make her way out of... Can I get out of this electrical cage down to the ground?
You could, yes.
Because then I think I want to, like, get down, try to not make any noise, and then slowly make my way to the door and just listen. Not even try to move the metal sheet, just listen.
But by virtue of this cage being something that runs from end to end, if you were to try and get out at a midpoint, it would be impossible. But because this is the end of this alley, you are able to exit the other side. You kind of, do a little maneuver to safely hang yourself from the cage for a moment before gently finding an area to set down on that will not cause a noise. And you set your ear nearby to this metal as you don't hear any conversation, but what you do hear, as you remain as still as possible, is the distinct sound of a breeze and the sound of the metal being, like, gently shaken by that breeze. So it's very clear that there is some opening underneath this.
Is there any way that I can take a peek, or would that require me moving the sheet metal?
You'll have to move it.
Nixe is such a coward usually. Nixe will just take a quick mental note of exactly in what way this sheet metal was positioned, to remember later if she needs to come back and put it back. Nixe will also very carefully try and lift the sheet metal to the side.
You do so. You are careful with it. You are not under pressure, so you are able to just lift it in the way that is clear that it often does. And you see, sure enough, underneath, whereas with every other part of the alleyway, the back of this whatever building has been built here is like completely cutting off this area. You see that sure enough there is actually a part of it that it has not fully blocked off, where essentially there is like a how do I put it? The alleyway continues, but only just wide enough that you can shimmy down it if you like press yourself up against the wall, essentially. The sheet metal was essentially hiding that the building was not actually fully cutting off this alleyway.
I see. How far down can I see this little hidden path?
You can see it's not so long that there is like no light or anything. You can see that there is in fact a dim light that is showing you that this goes on for a good... It looks like a good 50 feet of shimmying.
How long is 50 feet? Like, I use meters, man.
So 6 foot is close to like 2 meters,
yes.
I think.
Yes, that is true. 6 feet is 2 meters.
So call it like, what would that be? Like 18 meters, I guess? I don't know.
Something like that. Anything I can hear now that I'm closer?
No.
Here we go. And she's gonna slowly, like, sort of pushed up against the wall a bit, trying to make herself as hidden as she can, slowly make her way down.
You shimmy down this narrow alleyway at this point. It is the claustrophobia is something that you are used to at this point. The thing that is always worrying is whenever you have to follow something like this where you are not on an alternate path, but on, quote, the path they are taking. This is always this is always a part which is like the necessary risk of doing info gathering like this. And it is why you have your upgrades to, like, allow you to shock people and to get away if you are spotted, because there is always choke points like this at some point. And, yeah, you make your way down. The light gets brighter and brighter, and eventually you are at the edge of this exit to a point where you can see what's going on the other end. You see, first and foremost, that the light is actually due to a light source which is notably high up, which is odd considering that the alleyway that you were in before was like, you know, regular hallway sized. So this opens up into a much more vertical section, you note immediately. And you can see that there is this continuation of the alleyway for a bit, before it opens up notably more, and there is no trash or anything here. The thing which most strikes you here is that as you were going down the alley, you were hearing this like kind of white noise getting louder and louder once you got to like the halfway point. You listen, and you realize that what you are hearing is the sound of like water, essentially, but like almost like a waterfall.
Okay, cursory check. What can I see? What can I hear? Anything I can smell? Like, now Nixe is like, alright, need to take in as much info as possible here, because I'm not willing to leave the darkness of the alleyway just yet.
You note that there is a smell of like... There is that smell of humidity in the air. It smells a little acrid, like a little acidic almost, but not massively so, like almost like diluted bleach in this area, you know. And you can, and that is pretty much the extent of what you're getting here. You can tell that anywhere where there's running water like this means that there is places that you can get to, that you can hide, which will, like, running water doesn't come from nowhere. There is the possibility of you're going to be able to find somewhere to, like, slip into here.
I'm going to very carefully... Oh, actually, the first place I'm gonna look, when I peek out, is up. I was gonna look up, considering our killer's penchant to arrive from the skies.
You immediately crane your head upwards, and you just see, you just see the notably higher ceiling with a flickering fluorescent bulb at the top of it. There's nothing untoward.
Then Nixe will slowly, still close to a wall, just walk out and see, and just scan around to see where she's going next.
You slip out, and you are kind of in this, like, contrastingly empty side of the hallway. The walls are equal parts like plastered brick as well as concrete. You can tell that the brickwork is from the building that has since been, like, interjected into the alleyway to create that shimmy that you have to go down. But you kind of, like, work your way to the end of this alley and you crane your head around it to now get a view on what this area is. And you see immediately that it is not opening horizontally into like a big wide open room, but rather into like this circular vertical column opening. And you see that there is like a metal catwalk that leads around this area, and you sure enough see that there is in the distance what looks like several pipes which are like higher up in the room, which are pouring water down into like the center of this area, whatever it is. You suspect that this might be some kind of like, this might have been some kind of old water silo or water tower area that has since been like repurposed into like a runoff area, which you wouldn't be surprised somehow if it somehow connects back into that concrete ditch that you were previously at, although likely through much smaller pipes and such. It's at this point that you hear alongside the rushing of the water, which is falling down this huge vertical column and down into the center of it, what sounds like talking. Just vaguely.
And it's not just the babbling of a brook, it's the babbling of people. Can I tell from which direction it comes from? Like, how much would I need to move in further to this cylindrical room?
So you get the feeling that with the echo that you're getting from it, it sounds like wherever these voices are coming from is down down a number of feet from, you know, your current level. You imagine that there is probably some stairwell which leads people downwards, and if this is based off of like an old silo area, then there is probably, you know, some area at the bottom where people are able to, like, you know, put together some kind of an area that they could, you know, talk at.
Okay, so a couple of quick questions. You did say that there was a chance that this water connects to the concrete ditch that I was at previously, and it was leading out through pipes, smaller pipes. Would those pipes be big enough for Nixe to fit through, or are they way too small for that?
Considering the volume of water that is pouring out from somewhere above you, one of those pipes is definitely big. There is definitely pipes above you which are going to be big enough for you to shimmy through and to get out of here without having to go through that shimmy again.
Second, you said that there was a smell of diluted bleach. Can I tell if it comes from the water?
No, I don't think you can. You don't have any kind of enhanced sense. You don't have enhanced senses in such a way that you could detect that.
So it's just the smell of bleach from somewhere.
Yes.
Could be the water, could be somewhere else. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna continue to sneak forward towards where the talking is coming from, being very slow and careful as I make my way closer to it.
You are, mercifully, as you come out onto this kind of catwalk area, you look to your left and to your right, and you are mercifully greeted by what looks like vertical, like, pipes along the walls, which would allow you to hide yourself to some extent, by, like, keeping behind them, essentially. And you hear, as you kind of get out onto this catwalk very carefully, the talking become clearer and more obviously coming from below you, but you still can't hear it directly. The water is unfortunately muffling the exact words, but if you were to cling to this large vertical pipe that is running up and down the entirety of this room, you would be able to, you would be able to slide down it and still, like, essentially wedge yourself between the pipe and the wall in such a fashion that you would be, like, out of sight and, able to descend slowly. The main thing which you note when you look up and down is that, one, above you, sure enough, there are these 4 equidistant pipes which are, which the water is coming out of and is heading into, into the room. And below you, you see through the grating of the catwalk is what looks like a group of, 3 or 4 people wearing, they're wearing clothing which is simultaneously very, normal civilian, while having, hoods, hoodies, that kind of a thing. Imagine, modern day cloaks, essentially, the kind of thing of, big baggy long coats and, a hoodie of some kind that would allow you to just, keep yourself concealed if need be.
Well, Nixe has used similar clothing before herself. So, Can I see if there's any weapons or tools on them?
Make me a roll. I'm going to give you a -1 because you're quite high up. No.
I can't see shit.
Unsurprisingly, the reason you use this kind of clothing is the reason they're using it, which is it helps to obfuscate what kind of weapons they have on them. What you can see at the very least is that they seem to be futzing with some boxes, which they're not crates. It looks like the kind of thing that you would expect to see in Section C. Composite material boxes that are kind of modern looking, very, very, not hyper advanced, or anything, but it's the kind of thing which is they are clean and they are not bashed together. It looks like something that's almost fresh out of a factory. And there's a good four of them just kind of around, and you see them seemingly occasionally gesturing to them.
So you mentioned these pipes that I could wedge myself between. How difficult would it be to maneuver if I need to make an escape?
With your particular upgrades, considering that you have that kind of pseudo-electromagnetism, you would be able to shimmy back up noisily, but quicker if you were to kick on your generators, essentially.
Yeah, I gotta climb some pipes today. Because damn, I'm curious about what they're talking about. Do I need to roll for that? To climb?
No.
Whee!
You shimmy down, and eventually you find yourself close enough that you can make out the conversation that is happening. And you are kind of you have your legs kind of pressing your back against the pipe, remaining out of view but wedged here. Somewhat, you're having to engage your muscles obviously here, but you are able to kind of sit here without too much effort to a point where you are able to just remain. And, you hear... Any ideas on what this one looks like? From what I can tell, it doesn't look any different from all the other ones we've been getting. It's enhanced, though, right? Yeah, I mean, that's why we've been targeting them in the first place. At this point, you can't peer around to see them, but you hear the clicking of one of these, boxes open, and just goes, well, I guess we should still get it back and tested, right? Yeah, not like it's gonna turn up any results like last time. There's a little bit of a commotion as one of them then kind of stacks a few things on top of one another as you hear them clacking against one another, and just goes, do we have any more lined up? God. Yeah, 1 or 2 in Section C, and another one that we picked up in the collectors. The other group's doing well? Well, they've managed to pick up the targets that they've set to. Right. Well, may as well bring it back then. There is once again the shuffling of feet and everything as more commotion is had. And a third voice at this point kind of goes, "Shouldn't it be kind of obvious when we've found the right one?" "Well, we have to know for certain by making sure that they do the tests and everything." "I don't know. Just seems like this is pointless. We gotta start somewhere." You hear the harsh thud of what sounds like two boots suddenly landing on concrete, as once again there is the sound of something like getting picked up. "Well, may as well get moving, right?" And you hear the sound of some water, like not just the falling of the water, but you hear the sound of like something disturbing the water, as you then hear the transition of those three pairs of footsteps go from going against like hard but slightly damp concrete to transitioning to what sounds like a more hollow something, and then you distinctly hear a ripcord being pulled as it's not like crazy loud or anything. It sounds like some kind of motor has been started up, and you hear it like kind of kick into gear. What sounds like a boat has been kind of boarded and starts to head down like a waterway that was at the bottom of this area.
Is there any way that I can, like, very carefully, like, peek in the way that I heard that they left from?
You peek around very carefully, and you sure enough see that there is no longer anyone on that bottom floor. There's no, like, you know, plastic pier or anything of the sort. You suspect that the sound you were hearing was just them getting onto the boat, essentially. But you do see, like, the last remnants of the waves that are caused by that boat going down. And sure enough, you do see that, you couldn't get an angle on it from where you were before, really high up, but now that you're lower down this vertical shaft, you can indeed see that at the bottom, alongside, it is essentially like this concrete island in the center of, like, almost a moat of water, where you then see that there is this, like, notable waterway that leads off from one area.
How, this water, how clear is it?
Clear, definitely clearer than the sewers. It doesn't look potable by any means, but, like, if you were to hazard a guess, you would say that it was like, rainwater or something of the sort. Or just, like, drain water from, like, you know, sinks and that kind of a thing, as opposed to toilets.
Well, she's probably swimming toilet water, so that's not a worry for her. I was thinking more like, how easy do you think it would be for someone to notice that she would be swimming in it?
If they were to look into the water, they'd be able to see you.
And does it look like the area that the rain went down, is it well lit?
You can see that there is lights. They're not, like, all the way down it, but, like, intermittent in such a way that, like, you would be able to see where you're going, you know?
At this point, I think I'm going all the way. Is there a way for me to get down to the level they were at, and for me to get into the water, to swim after them?
Oh yeah, no, you just keep heading down the pipe and eventually you'll be in the water, basically.
Oh.
In this moat around this area, essentially.
I'm taking a swim, baby.
You slide down and eventually gently lower yourself into the water in case there is still anyone nearby. You look out onto this, like, concrete island, and it's not that there's any, like, equipment left behind or anything, but what you can see is that there is this notable puddle near enough to the center, which isn't, like, you know, just the normal, like, damp wetness that comes from, you know, the spray of water falling down here. It's a puddle of what you could only describe as some kind of gel-like mixture, essentially.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna get a little closer to get a look at that. Am I out in the open if I want to take a closer look at that?
You would be, yes.
Cursory look around. Can I notice anyone? Do I hear anyone?
No.
I'm gonna take a look at that jail.
You get yourself out of the water to get a closer look at it. You immediately smell two things. One is the acrid smell of bleach, which you realize is one of these. It is in fact a mixture of two things. One of the things appears to be like a gel-like bleach, and it transitions into what looks like a much more milky substance, which you can immediately identify as like the pluripotent cell mixture, which is often used by medics and doctors to help stitch up wounds and close, to grow things back, that kind of a thing. This was stuff that even, like, this was the stuff that Stitch put into your mouth, basically, when he was growing your teeth back.
Yeah.
Your old teeth back, I should say.
Yeah. I take a mental note of that. And then I'm gonna get back into the water. Wait, actually, can I see any other traces of... Because this seems like, since it's very clean and nice around here, can I see if this has been used to clean anything?
Yes, the entirety of this platform, by the looks of things, has been recently... Not the entirety of it. Notable portions of it have been wiped off with this bleach recently, by the looks.
Takes mental note of that. I think that's where Nixe leaves it, and then gets back into the water to swim after those people in the boat.
You are a pretty fast swimmer, but you are not faster than a speedboat, is the thing. And it is as you are swimming that you kind of recognize that you are probably not going to catch up with them. Or at least if you do, you're going to be like, you're definitely going to be behind. It is so infrequently the case that anyone has any kind of motor-powered transport in the city because of how much everything is, like, convoluted and interconnected. Everyone just has to walk everywhere. So this is like a moment where you're just like, oh shit, okay, this is actually something which is not normally something I have to deal with. Can I get a roll from you, please?
Just a standard, or...
Give me a +1 because you are on edge.
Come on. Oh!
Okay. You're under the water, and there is this moment where, like, you sense something is different as you're going. And there is this, you like, don't know what, but you just immediately, you sense, you're just like, something's wrong. There is the sudden sensation of, like, electrical fields that have, like, activated. It is only by virtue of your own, like, electrical upgrades that you are able to just barely tell. Like, your, oh, something's wrong, was essentially you subconsciously picking up on that before it was even happening, and you recognize something nearby you, there is power cables which have just supplied power to something. Immediately, you know that that is not good, because you suddenly are greeted by a bright light above the water suddenly flicking on.
Shit!
You can sense that there is something above you outside of the water that is hovering in the air.
Alright, I am going to take a big swim stroke, because now I immediately on edge. Things are gonna start whirring inside of my mechanical body, and I just wanna basically, like, dash forward so that if there's something above me that's trying to drop down, I just, like, get out of the way immediately.
Ray, could I please have you... Yeah, I'm gonna have you make a roll here, please. Give yourself a +2 because you are in the water and this is like your, this is your home turf, so to speak.
Alright.
Barely a success.
Oh.
You don't even question what's happening. You just see that there is this light which is turned on, which is shining around the area that you're in, and you just immediately double back and start to swim as fast as you can away. You can see that this light is being kept on you as you start to swim away. And you hear the muffled sound of what sounds like motors, not directly above you. You realize you misjudged. It was not immediately in the air directly above you, but the spotlight that had been shone on you gave you that wrong impression. But as you are moving, you realize there is something that is airborne that is chasing after you and in pursuit, though notably further down this waterway than you. With that success, what happens is you manage to get back out into the vertical shaft, and you briefly realize that you have rounded a corner in such a fashion that the light is not actually able to keep a bead on you while you make that sharp corner into this area, right? So whatever it is that's following you, there is this briefest moment where it cannot see you and it cannot see what's going on, and you register suddenly that there is an opening that you did not recognize was there before in this room, that is open, and there is a figure standing in it. They are dressed in what looks like these long flowing rags and sleeves, and it almost completely obfuscates what kind of a body they have. They almost look like some kind of cryptid, because even their face has been covered up with a mask, and you see these goggles shining in the light of this room. But they kind of they're looking to you. They're kind of leaning out of this hatch in the wall, which you hadn't seen before, and they are looking directly at you. They offer a handout and they go, "Nixe, I'm not your enemy."
Which happens to be number fucking 1 on things that you should not say to Nixe in order for her to trust you. And I can't see any pipe ways that I could easily swim to and out of here.
Not from where you are. No. The only ones that you're aware of are further up the room. You would have to climb up the metal pipe that you descended from, or by the stairs. But this person has got the one other area where you could leave from very swiftly and very quickly, and he is leading out of it and offering you a hand. I'm gonna tell you right now, you need to make a decision quickly.
I am working my way through to this ragged person, because I feel like Nixe does not like it, mind you. Still full on edge and ready to at any point fire off a leg trigger. But at this very second, she's like, I can tell that's a person. I can't tell what's chasing me. I will go for the things that I understand, somewhat.
You swim up to him and you grab his hand, and yeah, you immediately, there is that sense of static as your hands kind of clasp, and he acknowledges yeah, you could shock him at any moment with this. And he helps hoist you up into this hidden alleyway, this hidden area. And as you finish kind of scrambling into it, you're hearing the sound of these motors, this airborne device. He hits the button that's next to him, and all of a sudden you are both plunged into darkness as this latch closes up, and you hear the sound of it as it slams into place, and then there's a small hiss as it seems to push forward, as if to go flush with the wall that it is part of. You hear just barely outside is the sound of the motor, this airborne device that is that was chasing you, kind of just hovering and checking the area. You hear the sound of like cybernetic like beeping, and it is in a few minutes of sitting there in this area with this stranger that eventually you hear the sound of this thing kind of dissipate. You don't know whether it's gone up or back down the hallway it was in, but it is no longer immediately in the area that you were in.